So I'm scrolling through Twitter on this beautiful November day, and it's what I do most days, whether it's nice out or not. And I happen to see a name pop up on my Twitter feed. It is Justin Bourne, who joins me now. And Justin, you put out a tweet asking Leaf fans what they expect to see from the Leafs decor as far as the depth chart, where guys slot in. And it always seems like a bit of an interesting social experiment to open your mentions up to Leaf fans and ask their opinion. And there's usually a lot of them. So let's dive right into it. What type of responses did you get from what Leaf fans think that the Leafs opening night blue line should look like?
Well, it's always an exercise in sort of expectations. I think the range of what people think is going to come from a guy like Mikko Lehtonen is just wildly different. Like, some people see what he's doing in the KHL and they're like, well, this is a top 4 guy. We're going to slot him right in. We got a free player here. And then there's other people who don't have him inside their top 8 or 9. So he was a guy who there is big range on. Bogosian, there's big range on. A lot of people think that, what he did with Tampa is, sure to be replicated here in Toronto. And then, Dermott and Hall, it all comes down to what you think about the guys at the fringes. And no one, I will say, had Timothy Liljegren in their top 6.
So we have you here. What do you think? Forget the fans for a second. What does Justin Bourne think of when the Leafs finally get back on the ice, what the top 6 looks like?
Yeah, well, so I know this is such an unsexy answer, but I genuinely believe that they're going to go to camp and
make it sexy.
I know. But they're going to be like, what do we have? Let's see if one guy outperforms the next guy. I love the idea, and this was actually an old Mike Babcock thing, of having jobs that are available. Say, hey, whoever plays better is going to get it, and I think there's going to be an element of that. I also you have to consider, what have they told these guys who are coming to Toronto? What did they tell them to get them here? Like, is Lehtonen going to come over from Russia and come sit in the press box? I'm sure he's been told no. Is Zach Bogosian going to sign to be a guy who doesn't get to play? No. So I think it's going to be incumbent on a guy like Travis Dermott to earn his spot. And Justin Hall, he's, certainly not a lock. I think he'll probably start in the top 4. What I have written down, to cut to the chase, is Riley with Brody, Muzzin with Hall, and started off with some mix of Lehtonen, Bogosian, and Dermott. Whichever one of those 3, whichever 2 of those 3 play best in camp, I think we see as a pair.
Okay, that's interesting, because Zach Bogosian, it seems to be the curious case. And you mentioned Leaf fans, some want to see him up there with Morgan Riley or, a Bogosian Muzzin pairing, which it would be tough to go against. You played pro hockey, coming down on those 2 guys, it would suck.
Yeah, no, I want nothing to do with that. And so it's nice if you're a Leafs fan that there is 2 guys you can put on the ice who do that. Like, how many times over the past few years have the Leafs been falling behind or getting bullied around, and you're like, you want to put someone on the ice to really change the flow or stand up to them, and they just didn't have the guys. It at least feels like they have the guys when Bogosian's in the lineup.
And there was moments I remember sitting at the Scotiabank Arena in the bubble and watching the Lightning play, and there was like a 50-50 puck where an offensive defenseman might have jumped up on it. And we've seen a lot of Leafs defensemen in the past do that and get burned, and the puck comes back. And I think it drives Leaf fans crazy. But every single time Bogosian looked at the puck, I don't even think he thought about stepping up. He turned, wheeled back, got in, and just played the man hard and physical. And I think Leaf fans probably saw that and thought, why can't our D-men do that? So he was playing big minutes. He was doing that very proficiently. Can he do that for the Maple Leafs, or does that come with the fact that you're the Tampa Bay Lightning and you have him with Victor Hedman? You can insulate him with what is probably the best defenseman in the National Hockey League.
Yeah, like, playing with Hedman is not even playing in the NHL. That's just like it's cheating a little bit. But there is such a need for that in Toronto. Like, there just hasn't been anyone who will back up and let the play come to them and not take that risk. And I like the idea of having players who take risk, and we know the Leafs forwards take plenty of them. I like the idea that Morgan Riley, as their best defenseman, is a guy who will take risks. Sometimes it burns you. We saw against Columbus in the play-in round, Riley getting caught, being a little aggressive at times. But I like that in general, as long as you have someone who will back up. So, it's just nice that there's a name in the mix who might look at a puck and say, I'm going to err on the side of caution on this one.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of caution from the Leafs blue line in past years, which is their style, right? You can't really knock them, because I'd assume that the way that team was built was push, push, push. Don't get back and play it safe, albeit now they might have someone to do that.
Yeah, and, there's you hear all sorts of strange theories for how the Leafs can make it work with all their offensive players, whether you have a third defenseman or, have your high guy as a lock or, whatever the crazy theories are. All of that, none of that needs to happen if you have defensemen who play defense. So, the Bogosian thing, we've been talking about him quite a bit. I'm talking myself into him being in the lineup here because it feels like someone who could actually play, offer something different, which they've desperately needed.
So you're not buying any of the theories? You don't think the Leafs should dress 5 defensemen and go with some crazy new revolutionary style? Maybe it's tougher D is the answer.
Yeah, I'm not having that. I think they pay a lot of money to their forwards who are very good, so I think they want them on the ice as much as possible.
So Mikko Lehtonen, another interesting name. Expectations sky high, which usually happen when a guy comes over from Europe, highly touted, not a lot of information around him. What do you know about him?
Well, I know he can power the puck. He's a left shot that's played the right side a little bit here and there. He's got a big shot. Another guy who can create offense. And I think the theme from the Leafs defense, and particularly when they've drafted defensemen, is guys who can move the puck and guys who can play with their skilled forwards in hopes of not having anchors that hold back a group that otherwise would be able to move it around and get where they want to be on the offensive side of the puck. So, if he's able to handle everything else, I've seen his highlight tape, which, we all know that doesn't give us the answers because everyone looks good when they're at their best and against weaker competition. His highlight tape is great. If he can handle everything else, if he can go back on pucks and win puck battles, stand, the physicality of the league and the travel and everything else that comes with being an NHL defenseman, love his highlight tape. The Leafs will love him. But that's something I don't think until you put a player in with the rest of their compatriots here. So that's why I said I didn't give you a hard bottom pair there, because I think they want to see what he looks like when he plays against NHL players.
Now I'm going to play devil's advocate for everyone out there who's saying Lehtonen's in the top 4. He's here to play. He's coming over to be a Sherlock on that Leafs blue line. You throw names like Calle Rose and Igor Ozhiganov. These are guys in the past who may not be as highly touted, but guys that came over with expectations to slide to the Maple Leafs lineup and really be a factor. And obviously that didn't work out. Kind of what's the challenge and maybe the risk in penciling a guy in pen and not pencil and saying that this guy's a lock without knowing a whole lot about him before he really gets here?
Yeah, I think people handle the switch from overseas to the NHL and even to just North American hockey differently. Some guys, I think one of the reasons Ilya Mikheyev has had such success is he thrives in traffic and physical play, and when he's not scoring, he's still useful. Like a lot of players who are offensive first players, if they're not creating that offense, they're not providing value. And so it's a matter of finding out how much those guys, when they come here, want to do the other things. And whether we think that is stuff that, is eye-rolling, sort of intangible stuff, it matters to the coaching staff. It matters to the general manager. So they'll learn a lot about how that player wants to play when he's not, playing on the fun offensive side.
Well, Justin, I thank you for this, and I think we can talk ourselves blue in the face with what the Maple Leafs blue line might look like come opening day, when opening day actually is. I'm not even sure Sheldon Keefe knows what that blue line will look like yet. I think we'll have to probably wait until training camp to see, but I think there's a lot of intrigue and a lot of pieces there that could make this Leafs blue line look different than we've seen in years past. So thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, anytime. Thanks, Shawn.